Okay, so next one I'm going to do a 5-minute gesture, and I'm going to use oil pastels for this one. And I'm actually going to try to get my computer a little bit closer. This is my source image that I have there. So I want to try to turn my paper horizontal, but I'm also concerned about my my drawing board situation, my makeshift drawing board. My oil pastels, I'm going to start out with the lightest value color oil pastel here, and kind of work my way up to the darkest value. I really like using oil pastels because you can really mash down with it. I've got a razor scraper here, so if I want to scrape some off, I'll use that. If you have an X-Acto knife, you can use that as well. If you're blending oil pastels, you don't really want to use your fingers to blend it. You want to use the pastel sticks themselves. So this is a 5-minute gesture. So I'm going to grab my phone so I can set the timer so I can keep an eye on it. Stopwatch, just so I can keep an eye on that. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. And so again, just like before, and you might not, I'm gonna press a little harder. Yeah, there you go. So like I said, if I had a little bit better of a setup here, I would rotate my paper sideways so that I could fit more of the figure on the screen. So again, I'm looking at these implied lines, noticing the foot is higher than the head, kind of makes this big triangle here. So that's like a 30-second gesture, maybe even a quicker gesture than 30 seconds. Looking at the fact that the hand goes back behind the head. And the nice thing about working in these different colored drawing materials is that I can build upon this foundation. A 5-minute gesture is still fairly loose. And I like oil pastels because I can be fairly loose. I tend to naturally draw pretty tight. So I like working loosely like this because my baseline is kind of tight and controlled. So it's nice to be able to just let go a little bit. So it's a little bit, it's kind of like who wants to drive in the same gear in your car all the time. Of course, you guys are probably out driving automatics, so probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but that's okay. So right now, what I'm doing, if you can see, is I'm doing kind of what's called a mass gesture, is I've built up the structural components, and now I'm kind of building up the mass or the volume of my form on top of that. And you don't have to work this way, but it's one way that I like to work with gesture drawing. And I'll eventually go over this with a different color. But I'm just kind of building up slowly since I have a little more time. I'm about 2 minutes in. So I found myself slowing down there. So I'm gonna stop myself, go back over here, let me apply a little more pressure there for where the pelvic region is and the pants are. Kind of get the leg hashed out there, a little more clarity. Now this leg is turning back into space. That's foreshortened. So that's going to be tricky for me because it's moving back in space, but on my paper, it's actually not. So I have to kind of be conscious of that. About 3 minutes in. And again, keeping in mind that the thickness of the leg, and that leg's going to go off the page a little bit. The thickness of the leg is not going to remain uniform. It's going to change, right? It's going to get thicker, especially because of the pants leg in this picture here. The foot's going to go off the page a little bit. That's unfortunate, but to be expected considering what I talked about at the beginning. So now that I've kind of got the baseline down, I'm going to go back and sort of look at some of the shapes of the muscles, build that up on the surface, see if I can make a correction. So I'm kind of looking at the negative space around the head here, and I can see that, boy, I put the head in the wrong place. So it's okay, I can make an adjustment here. I'm gonna pull the face up here a little bit higher because the neck should be quite a bit longer. The hair is quite large. This guy's hair is huge. It's okay, it's very voluminous. So I'm gonna add the forehead up there. See, now I'm feeling a little bit warm after I made a couple of those gestures there. Got the nose there, little nose there, head there, chin there. Oh crap, I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. And then he's got a little chin hair situation. And then his ear, kind of right through there. And I may just leave it this color. I kind of like it, all this color, kind of subtle. Gonna get some more value. This is not hair. I'm just trying to darken some of the value there. And my time's up. Since it's on a timer, I can't do anything about it. I guess I can go, but oh, it lets me go back. So that's my 5 minutes. It actually allows me to go back on my timer if I wanted to kind of, you know, if it's like, let's say I wanted to give myself another like 30 seconds to refine just a little bit more of the shape, because I kind of slowed down there a little bit, so I could give myself just a little bit more time. And I also didn't get that backhand in there, but I could throw that backhand in there. So yeah, so there's my 5 minute gesture, and I'm going to show it to you a little bit more straight because I think it's slightly skewed there. So it's my 5 minute gesture right there, and then there's the source image right there. So again, it's still a pretty rough image, but you can see a lot more definition of form. I didn't even add any more information with the different materials, but you definitely can build up with more darker materials. And that might be something I'll do on the next one with a longer pose.